Okay, I think we're live. How's everybody doing? This is Steve Leo here with the VertiMax VIVE podcast. I'm lucky enough today to have Coach, I want to call him Coach Dan Mckim on. Hopefully we're going to have some fun with this podcast because I think that's a little bit what he's all about. I've done a little bit of research on you, but I want to give them a little of an idea of what I know about you, but looking at your bio and checking out your website, you have a lot of cool stuff on there. But I'm going to let Coach Dan kind of talk about where he's coming from. He's a sales rep for sorenex, does some coaching, and also is kind of a Hollywood movie star when it comes to Instagram. So I want to invite him into the show. And Coach, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Oh, man, Steve, thanks, man. I appreciate it. When you call me Coach, I keep looking over my shoulder, looking for who walked into the room because I definitely don't call myself a coach. I am just a dude. I'm just a meathead. So, yeah, like you said, I work for sorenex. I'm the Midwest rep. And, yeah, I competed in the Scottish Highland Games for a number of years and had an opportunity to do that across the country and across the world. And, man, I just love strength training, man. That's mostly how it boils down for me.
That's awesome. I mean, listen, I'm a closet meathead. I know I'm not that big anymore, but I do definitely love some of the meathead things that you talk about. I definitely can relate. So I think we need, like I said before, I think we need a little more fun with that. But want to get into your background a little bit. A little bit of research. So you went to Northwest Missouri State, is that right? Yeah. Where is that located in Missouri? Obviously Missouri, but where?
Yeah, Northwest Missouri. Yeah.
Northwest. Okay.
Yeah, if you go north of Kansas City, about an hour and a half. Actually, okay. I just moved back. I say just moved back. I moved back a number of years ago to be close to family. So I graduated from there. We moved down to Kansas City, where I worked various jobs and started competing in the Scottish Highland Games. And we moved back up here. It is a small town with D2 school that's known for its college football. But I was a track and field guy while I was here.
Got it. So did you do shot, disc? Did you have hammer or no?
Yeah, steeplechase, pole vault.
Yeah.
I jump. Yeah. Big speed and jumps guy. That's why I'm on with VertiMax right now. It's big speed and jumps. No, I was a thrower. Shot put, discus, hammer guy.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So obviously you did that. Did you do that starting in high school? Did you start earlier? When did you start picking up the throwing?
Yeah, I started in middle school. Actually, my older brother was a stud, right? He was awesome in middle school, set all the records, and so of course I came up, and everybody thought I was going to be really good, and I was really bad, and but I was too slow to run. I couldn't jump, so I just threw. And I'll never forget. You talk about coaches having a lasting impact. We were at 8th grade track meet, and we came back, and Coach brought everybody to the stadium, and we sat down on the bleachers. And Coach got up there and he's like, we had a decent track meet. Runners, you did great. Distance was good. Sprints, jumps. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys right now. I'm going to tell you guys right now. We would have won if it wasn't for our throwers. I was like, bro, he's calling us out. I'm in 8th grade. I'm on the verge of tears practically. I'm thinking, oh man, I'm sorry, Coach. I didn't mean to throw bad. And so he calls us out. He's like, if our throws would actually score some points, we would have won this track meet. And I'm like, oh man. So I had kind of a rough experience, I guess, in 8th grade. I wasn't that good, and it actually came to my freshman year in high school. And I remember telling my parents, I was like, hey, Mom, Dad, I think I'm gonna play baseball in the spring. And they're like, you haven't played since coach pitch, son, and you barely hit home runs then. What are you thinking? I was like, well, I didn't have a great experience, and I might want to play baseball. So thankfully, Lord did not let me play baseball, and I did do track. And then from there, I got a scholarship to Northwest. And then from there, honestly, man, and that's kind of threw me into the Highland Games after college, which made me meet Bert, the owner of sorenex, which grew me into the job and being in the strength industry I am today. So it's crazy that you think about little decisions, little impacts, right? But even that coach's post-track meet talk almost steered my direction for athletically and for honestly professionally. My whole career could have steered off because guess what? In baseball, I was kind of scared of the ball and I couldn't catch. So it'd have been rough.
Those are kind of big attributes that you need to have for that sport. Catching and seeing the ball and so you just want to throw the ball away from you and shot put. That's good. You throw it and you can run. You're good.
Exactly.
It's crazy, right? Think about it. And, to talk a little bit about coaching. So I've been coaching for over 25 years now, and I coach track. And I do a lot with middle school and high school. And it's funny, think it's a middle school track meet, and the coach is having a heart attack. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Listen, I coach a high school team, and I still don't go crazy. You know, to me, listen, I call you a coach because, listen, if you're working with kids or around people, you're a coach, and everyone has an impact, like you said. And I think it's important that we, as adults and coaches who've been through these experiences, not repeat those experiences and make kids feel good about themselves. I mean, I think that's why I'm in the industry. And like I said, you know, looking at your videos, I feel good now because I think sometimes we take it a little too seriously. I think we get a little too wrapped up in, you know, which program are we on, and are you a Louis guy, or, you know, all that stuff starts coming out. You know, the conversations. I don't have to tell you. I think we need a little more of that. So I wanted to kind of dive into that a little bit, you know, because again, that's obviously how I came about, you know, to see what you're doing, and I love what I see online all the time. I look forward to it. What gave you the inspiration to start doing all that stuff? And don't stop, because we love it.
I appreciate it, man. Man, I think honestly it started from a few years back. Maybe that was 2015. I was at the NFL Combine, right? And for some reason, I don't know why, because we were there as sorenex, and so we were meeting with coaches and doing the thing. And I don't know why, but I brought this Chiefs helmet, right? And I decided at the time I was going to just do some funny stuff with it. And so we're sitting at breakfast one morning in the hotel, and I'm sitting there with Bert and with Aaron Osmus, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, guys, that's Joe Gibbs over there. Like, Joe Gibbs. And they're like, yeah, dude, we know who Joe Gibbs is. Dude, he's a Hall of Famer. Like, Joe Gibbs are like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, watch this. And I grabbed my helmet and I put this little kid's helmet on my head, which I was the kid in middle school that had to get the high school football helmet because I had such a big melon. So I squeezed this helmet on, and it's the Chiefs. And I remember, and I was like, guys, here he comes. And Joe Gibbs walks by, and I take like a croissant, and I was trying to eat it through my face mask. I couldn't get it. And Joe Gibbs stands there, and he goes, you okay, son? And I was like, yeah, coach, I'm ready. He goes, I think you might be in concussion protocol. And I was like, okay, coach. And I was like, oh, man. And so that morphed into this character I had for a while called Big Daddy. And Big Daddy was an aspiring NFL potential number 1 overall pick. And so Big Daddy was a slot receiver at 6'5", 310, you know. And so I just did these stupid kind of funny things and with it, and it kind of grew from there. And so it grew into strength coach stuff, and trying to, with some of these videos, like you said, is create some levity, some joy in our industry. And everyone takes themselves so seriously, and we sometimes think everything is so serious that we got to take a step back and realize, man, there's a lot of joy to be had in this world, and if we're not careful, we're going to miss out on it. And so I do these videos not to make fun of people, not to make fun or light of situations, but to create levity within the industry. So you'll see I'm making fun of throwers all the time, to powerlifters, to CrossFitters, to football coaches, to strength coaches, everybody. Now, occasionally people get offended, and I have to reassure them, it's all for fun.
I mean, listen, if anybody has, you know, no offense, if you watch the videos, like, you're giggling the whole time while you're doing it. I mean, it's great. I mean, listen, I'm a speed guy. I was crying laughing when you were fumbling with the ladders. I mean, I played it back about 4 times. I'm like,
I love that.
It's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate. Okay. That's great. You know, I mean, I think, listen, I'm in the industry for a long time. You're in it, and you're dealing with coaches from all over, right? You're dealing with coaches in the high school setting, the collegiate setting, the private setting. And I think a lot of them, I don't know if you experience this, they hold on to their training philosophy like a religion or their affiliation with a political party. I mean, it's like, yeah, this is what we do. And, you know, I know VertiMax, we're trying to open the doors that there's so many other things that you can do, and it doesn't have to just be one way, and you can just learn from other people. So, you know, how's that affected you? You know, you meet a lot of people now in different spaces. How's that affected you as far as not only the videos, but maybe just even your philosophies on training?
Yeah, I tell you what, man, I've learned so much just in my time with sorenex. I've been there 6 years now. And so the ability to travel and to meet with coaches and to pick the brains of so many people, it has helped me in my training, and everything from when I was competing. I mean, I did a whole summer of triphasic training, right? So I just totally broke it down and did that for a whole off season. It was awesome. I learned a ton. But I think that's what's interesting is I actually had a meeting today, and I remember, and I asked the coach, I said, All right, just got to ask, are you West Side, or are you a modified conjugate? Are you triphasic? Are you tier system? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different ways, and you're right. I think we have to realize that we're here in this industry to improve lives. And sometimes that means we got to step out of our comfort zone. Sometimes that means we've got to get out and to do things, to have fun, to create joy and excitement for these kids, especially. Because one thing I've learned through the years, I got 5 kids of my own, is that I've learned just through coaching with them and doing things sometimes with kids that we're dealing with, right? The athletes that you guys are dealing with, that may be the most fun or the best opportunity for joy that they have all day, right? They exactly. have a whole life outside that. And so the impact coaches have today, especially, is huge. And it is a huge and amazing responsibility.
Yeah, I think you said it earlier. I mean, just that 8th grade story, that's going to stick with you forever. And one little thing you say to a kid, they may remember for the rest of their lives. And you may say it cavalier, but I think you have to remember that, you know, that you're having an impact. And listen, when it comes to the training, my philosophy is it's not about me. It's about the kid. And what does that kid need? What does that athlete need? I have my ideas. And listen, I've been hard-headed in the past. I'll fully admit it. You know what I mean? There's definitely been days like, nope, this is the way I'm doing it. Listen to me. I know what I'm doing. I have 30 certifications on the wall. Like, you know? But, you know, with age comes hopefully wisdom. And, you know, I have a couple kids of my own as well, and I'm coaching them. And I've been showing them your videos. I show some of my I'm lucky enough I have a lot of pretty high-level throwers at the track team that I'm on. We had the state champion a few years ago in New Jersey that was here, and I was little brothers here, and hopefully he's going to be the next state champ. And, you know, we show them your videos to create some levity because they get so freaked out with, like, all these training things they need to do. They're following all the throwers. You know, oh, the throwers, they clean. We got to be cleaning more weight. I'm like, you can't squat.
Yeah. That's my favorite. Who was a throws coach, and it's hard because, especially for throwers, right? They look at like Ryan Krauser and they look at Joe Kovacs and like, well, he does this, and it's like, yeah, bro, he's 6'6", throws a shot put 74-10. I mean, like
he's a freak.
He's first, you know. But that's got to be hard as a coach, right? Is that with the growth of social media and everything that's out there, you have is there an increase in kids that are questioning maybe what you're bringing to the table, I guess?
All the time. I've never dealt with it so much in my life. They literally will walk in the weight room with a phone and show me, hey, look what this guy's doing. I'm like, okay. It's like, you know, show me like, you know, I don't know, Christian McCaffrey workout, you know, what he's doing. I'm like, he's a freak. You're not. You're not.
Yeah.
And again, and I like the fact that they're doing it because at least if they're into it, I love that. I think that's great. And they can tell me, you know, about Krauser and all these guys. And, you know, I'm not a throw guy, I'm a speed guy. But I think we need more people like you who are showing that there's other things out there that are more fun. You know what I mean? I think the training has to be fun. It might be the only part of the day that is fun because if they go to school all day and they have a practice, the weight room, the strength conditioning, the speed work might be the one time they can kind of let loose. And that's how I kind of view it a little bit.
Absolutely. I love it, man.
I think we need more of that. So, and you know, what else, you know, have you learned? Obviously, you know, you threw in college, which is probably a tremendous experience there. What did you learn there that maybe you're applying, you know, in your life, you know, as a husband, as a father, as a businessman? You know, did you go through some tough times? Was it a breeze? I'm sure it wasn't, being a collegiate athlete. Can you kind of tell us how that shaped you, you know, as a person now?
Yeah, man. I mean, my college career was interesting. I threw further as a sophomore than I did as a senior. And that really, really frustrated me because I got bigger, I got stronger. I was definitely stronger as a senior, but it came down to my coach left and new coach came in. We changed technique. We threw things around, and it was incredibly – I went from my first 2 years, I wanted to get USA Nationals. That was my goal. That's what I was going to do. I knew I was never going to be Olympics caliber, but I wanted to go to USA's just to say I went to USA's, right? And then things just didn't work out. And it came to the end where I was done with track. Something I had loved, and I had grown, and I'd become like a big time fan. Like my first coach taught me, and kind of like you said, is he got me really into it. He came and he asked me, like, who's the top throwers? I was like, I don't know. Well, who's this? Who won the gold medal? And so he taught me to fall in love with the sport, and I just became addicted to it. I was watching throws video of everybody. I was kind of like you're talking about, this fanboy, right, that came in and was asking all these things and doing this stuff. And so what I learned by the end was that, for one, track wasn't that big of a deal, honestly, in the grand scheme of life, right?
Yeah.
And I had to take a back seat to that, or track had to take back seat to the rest of part of my life. But I learned too, man, and I think about it, that's how God orchestrates and worked in my life, is had I had an amazing last 2 years and maybe I'd gone to USA Nationals, that would have been it. I was never going to make the Olympics, but instead I'd started this thing called the Scottish Highland Games. And had I had a different career in track, I probably would have pursued it too long, thrown 3 or 4 years after college, never done anything with it and been done, right? But instead I started the Scottish Highland Games. And from there, I started to see what God had for me in my life was to throw in that and to grow and to develop and to travel. And the opportunity to travel the country and go overseas and throw is something I never would have been able to do had I stuck with track.
Yeah, I think, listen, I'm sure your story is pretty similar to a lot of others. I mean, I've worked with a lot of athletes that, did something in college and they thought they were going to be that next, invincible Mark Wahlberg, Vince Papale, they're going to make the football team. I've had those guys before. And I think, like you said, it took you in a different route and you got to experience something that not a lot of people could experience. Got to travel the world, got to meet people from all over the place. And, that brought you, like you said, you met someone, I forget the name you said before, you met a guy and now you're working with sorenex. So how has that shaped you now that you're working with sorenex? What changes have you seen even since you started working there and even prior to when you were working in college? Because in college you probably had a weight room, right? But now if you look at these facilities that are being built in the past, that's even 5 years or 10 years, it's insane what's going on. And obviously you're a big part of that. So what changes have you seen?
Man, I think for one, the integration of technology is just continuing to grow. And I think that's going to be something at the forefront of training, right? Is that technology component as it's getting integrated into racks now and other pieces, and it's becoming more and more mobile. I think you're going to see more and more technology-based stuff, which is super interesting, especially for a meathead for me, like that. I don't understand some of that stuff, but I like it. I think the other thing too is just the grandness, the grandeur of it has been impressive to see how things are now custom. Everything's custom. We can change everything. You can make things your own and based on your training style. And so when I was training in college, I mean, it was rusted out old stuff, right? And we still got strong. We still developed and we still got after it. And I think that's what we have to remember is, especially when we're dealing with athletes, high school, college, as long as those guys eat, as long as they get some sleep, they're going to grow and develop just because that's the stage of life they're in. So I don't know that we have to worry about overcomplicating our design or our program even if we just realize the basics still are always going to work for these kids.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I see some of the equipment you guys have been doing. It's amazing. I wish I won the lottery because I would definitely build something with all your equipment. I mean, I've been blown as well. So, how has that gone as far as you said technology, but also now adding different pieces? So it used to be the old school, let's get the West Side rack bolted to the floor and let's rip, right? But now we're attaching iPads and velocity-based training systems and now possibly VertiMax. How has that gone? And how has that has it helped you? Has it been confusing for the industry? How's that worked?
No, I think what's been great is things like, for example, the VertiMax Raptor. That's one of our attachments that we put on. And those who understand it and use it love it, right? And so there's been a big growth in terms of it's always just been a football weight room, right? For years, it's been a football weight room, football trains here, and then everybody else kind of comes in and does whatever they want. Well, now we have all these different Olympic facilities. So now you've got to figure out training for all your other sports like tennis and soccer, lacrosse, whatever it may be. And that's where the beauty of rack attachments comes in, like the Raptor. That's something that maybe the football coach isn't going to use much, but you better believe the soccer coach is going to use it a ton, right? And so there's different ways. And I think that's what's cool to see as the industry change has been, like Bert, our owner, kind of describes the Basecamp rack like an iPhone, right? Mm-hmm. The rack is your iPhone. What you put on it, the apps you put on your phone, that's like the attachments on your rack. And so what's awesome about the industry now is that you, as a speed guy per se, right? And I know you're a strength guy, but you, for example, speed guy, you have your rack. We may have the same rack, but you're going to have different attachments because your programming or your athletes Maybe you don't have football at this school. Maybe you got other things are going to be different. While this other school may have the same rack but different attachments. And I think that's what's cool is that we've seen strength, the importance and focus of strength has grown beyond just football, get big type of training. It is now for every athlete, and it is super critical and important for every sport.
Yeah, and I think if you look at most colleges, right, it was the weight room was for the football team. Like no one was even allowed in there. Now, if you look at it, some schools have multiple weight rooms based upon their sport. I mean, if they have the money. I'm in a college prep school, college prep high school, and we have a weight room. But I mean, every day I'm training athletes from all different sports. Today I'll have softball, lacrosse, basketball, track. I mean, and they'll all be here. And what I've noticed too, even when I started 20 years ago, it used to be, okay, hammer strength lined up, machine after machine. Now it's put a nice rack in, get the attachments, and have an open floor plan and try to execute what you're trying to execute for that day. And it could be powerlifting based, Olympic lifting based. It might be more functional, or a mix of all of them. And have you seen that's where, I will say, the college programs, you think, is that where they've kind of gone with their thought process? Or
Yeah, you're exactly right. Is create space. You're exactly right, because we've gone away from having stations to train in to racks to train various athletes in various applications and open space. And it's been really nice that we can get more athletes through, because, right, if you have all these machines lined up, you're limited to how many athletes you can get through. And so now in terms, there's that much more importance to train more athletes more efficiently.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at a lot of this, I've been in different facilities, strength facilities, speed facilities, and again, now we need kids to run more. I mean, again, I know I'm a speed guy, and that's my funny part too. But a lot of kids just don't run anymore. They're getting in a weight room, they lift, and then they get in the field like, well, I can't run a 40. Well, yeah, no kidding, you don't run. So we need to work on that. And it's been something I've been dealing with because I have a lot of kids. Listen, they want to break records, and I used to have a record board, and I got rid of the record board because they became all about the records. And, kids are seeing stuff on social media. And we had a question pop up as we're talking here. How do you temper? I know I deal with it, but I'll hear your thoughts first. How do you temper kids that see things on social media, workouts, exercises, whatever? And how do you basically get them back in line to say, listen, that isn't for you? We talked a little about earlier, but how do you deal with that if people are talking to you? Or even collegiate coaches. I'm sure some of them think that way at times.
Yeah. I'll kind of look at it as, because how do you do it without diminishing their joy? I kind of do it like I'll treat it with my kids, and training with my boys this summer in the garage has been, we can take the things that they do. We can take the stuff that Christian McCaffrey does, or in my case, like Ryan Krause or Joe Kovacs, whoever it may be, the freaks out there, let's modify it. And maybe it's like, okay, cool, we can apply that on clean day. The way they're throwing this medicine ball, we're going to do it, but we're going to do it with a clean, or whatever you want it to do. Is a great way to do that, I feel, with kids and my kids, is to take things they've learned or they see, and let's apply it, but let's modify it, because they're not, right? They're not Christian McCaffrey. And so it's going to be impossible for them to attain that or to realistically do that, right?
Yeah, and I think, talking about the joy thing, I think you have to acknowledge that the kids are into it. I think it's important for you to say, listen, I think that's great that you're into it, but let's figure out a way. I say morph. Let's morph it into what we're doing. And one of the lines, I heard this from Mike Boyle years ago, he says, give the clients what they want so you can give them what they need. So you give them a little bit of what they want, and then kind of back end them here. This is really what you're going to get out of this. And yeah, I use that as a reward as well. If you want to do something cool, okay. Execute. Show me a perfect front squat today, and then I'll let you hang clean today. Something like that.
Curls every day, coach.
Curls in the rack every day.
In the rack.
Yeah, with the easy bar.
Yes.
Because that's the only way to curl.
Only way.
I'm sure we could talk for hours about that stuff, but that's not what the show's about.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to bring up too, because it's a big part of what you do now, is Little Debbie, how Little Debbie has affected your life. Little Debbie is a big part of your life now. Why don't you fill us in on that? Because I get hungry now when I watch your videos.
Well,
here we go. What do we got today? If it's the oatmeal, Nutty Buddies.
I love me some Nutty Buddy. Well, it's because it's protein, right? It's got peanut butter in it, so it's practically a protein bar, really. No, Little Debbie became something as a meathead, I call it, as a guy who strength trains. I like snack cakes. Just gonna say it, right? And I grew up on Little Debbie's. I'm looking over here at oatmeal cream pies. You're probably gonna think, man,
That's
I'm
my favorite.
Walking glycogen level guy. So yeah, but I started creating some fun videos just because I just started putting them into oatmeal cream pies for life. That's a good comment. They are the greatest of all time. Oatmeal cream pies are in my Mount Rushmore, but they are the GOAT. So they're number one. You agree with that, right?
I do. Absolutely. It's my favorite.
Good. So we can continue this.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, peace out if you're throw out some hostess on me. So no, I started just involving them in some of my social media and just tagging them. And then what's crazy is one of my followers turns out to be the grandson of Little Debbie herself, because Little Debbie's real. And he started showing her some of the stuff. And fast forward last December, I created a shirt because I write the programming for Dead December. And so I wrote this shirt. I made this shirt. So Debbie's and Deadlifts. I put a Christmas tree cake on it. And I put it out there on my website. And I thought, well, this is fun. I'll make a few of these shirts. Like I made like 30, not very many. And so I was like, deadlifting and Debbie's this month, it'll be great. Well, I sold some shirts, and then sure enough, I was hunting, and I was sitting in the tree stand. And if you're a hunter, you never answer your phone. If you're not, it's a good way to chase off animals is answer your phone. I pulled out my phone. My phone's ringing, and it's from Collegedale, Tennessee. Okay. I live in Missouri. My area for sorenex is the Midwest, does not include Tennessee. So I know it's not a personal call. I know it's not a work call. And the only place I know that is in Collegedale, Tennessee is Little Debbie headquarters. I freaked out. And so it was kind of one of these where I'm in the stand and I was like, because I knew at the time, I was like, holy cow, they just saw I sold these shirts. I'm getting sued.
Copyright infringement.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I was like, hello. It's like, oh yeah, Dan, this is so-and-so from McKee Foods, Little Debbie, legal counsel. And I was like, just like in the stand freaking out, right? Well, come to find out, they said, hey, just want you to know that your shirt's infringing on our copyright. And I was like, I had no idea, man. As literally, I got on a computer program and I made the Christmas tree cake myself. It took me way too long, and it looks like a kid made it, but I made it. And I was like, I didn't know. I just thought it might be. I didn't realize that. He's like, hey, that's fine. He's like, two things you won't believe. Our VP, Mr. McKee himself, came in and said, hey guys, I know he's infringing on our copyright, but I have to have one of those shirts. Turns out he loves to train. And so I said, you know what? He can have a free one. So I sent him one, and he said, you won't believe, Little Debbie herself has asked us to talk to you about reaching out and doing some work with us. Would you like to be a brand ambassador? And I was like, so you're not going to sue me? Like, no, we're not going to sue you. And so long story short, man, is it started out as something fun. I like Little Debbie's. They're a great post-workout for me, and started posting some stuff about it. And they like being involved in some of this, right? They're a snack cake. They're not to be associated with strength training and exercise, but I think it's a good marriage.
Listen, I think it's great. I mean, who doesn't like having a nice cookie or a cupcake before they work out? A little sugar rush, Forget C4. Just have a couple oatmeal.
That's right.
Fine. No C4. I don't need that anymore. I'm getting too old for that. I'm gonna have a heart attack. Take that stuff.
Oh yeah, NO Explode. That was me back in the day. Bro.
NO Explode. Oh my gosh.
That stuff felt like lice. Like you're like
lice in your throat.
Yeah, tingling, and you're like, I got tremors. What's going on? So
yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, the shakes. Once you got the shakes, you knew you were good.
Yeah, you were good.
You're like, I'll PR today. Today's a PR day.
Sick pump, bro. Got this sick pump.
And then you felt the heat rising up your head. It just kept getting hotter and hotter and hotter.
Oh yeah. My favorite was when you would try to get a scoop in without anybody noticing. Your buddy would be like, bro, it's almost like guys copping a cigarette outside. You're like, hey, you got one for me? I was like, you give me tomorrow, man. Yeah, I got you.
I got you back. I'll only give you half a scoop, though.
Yeah, half a scoop. Bro, that wasn't – you totally flattened it out. Give me a rounded one.
Yeah, the stuff people go through in gyms. I mean, the funny thing now is like it's not funny. We're in COVID, but the weird thing is that gyms are basically closed where we are. I'm in New Jersey, so we just started opening gyms back up, and I don't go to gym. I used to own a small one, and I recently closed it because of COVID. But I miss going to some of those meathead gyms just for the entertainment value alone. Is really one of, and the rust on my hands. I miss the rust on my hands on a barbell, but it's good for you, good for your skin. But yeah, and it's funny. There aren't that many of those gyms anymore. Like you see, a powerlifting gym or if you want to call it a lifting gym, old school strength gym. You don't see a lot of them anymore. They've become commercial gyms are out there now, or Orange Theory, like that type of stuff. So when you're working with Sorenex, are you speaking to those gyms as well, more in the private sector, or are you sticking more with schools and colleges?
Yeah, for me, it's mostly schools and colleges, but there are more and more private facilities. You make a good point. There's these Globo gyms, which Planet Fitness, Gold's Gym, whatever it is, right? Globo gyms, but we're starting to see some of these private facilities come up that it's like you said, people want to go. They don't want to go to maybe a box where there's no AC and there's no shower. Like, dude, I got to get to work after this, right?
Yep.
So now you're seeing a growth in facilities of like sports training facilities where they want to go. And there's some really cool facilities around going up that people get in, they get trained, they come up, sign up for their class, right? But they're in a strength training or an athletic performance class. And then they can go hit the recovery pump or the Normatec boots on the way out. Yep. And you got Susie and all her soccer moms hitting up the smoothie bar inside there, and they got their vitamin packs and everything. It is cool, and you're starting to see like some of the C-level folks are realizing, all right, so all these high-level athletes take care of their body like this. Maybe I should do that as a C-level guy. And they're realizing more and more how important it is to recover and to sleep and to train. And so I think it's kind of cool, and I think honestly we're going to see a growth in that and a shift, especially after COVID, where people don't necessarily want to go where there's 50 treadmills, but they don't necessarily maybe want to go where there's, like you said, no AC, no air conditioning, no shower, no nothing. But man, they'll pay the extra money to go to some place where they can be treated like a high-end athlete.
Yeah, I think it's an investment. I mean, you have kids, I have kids. We invest in our kids, whether it be into music or sports, right? We're making investments. And I think if people feel like the money's worth it, they'll pay it. I mean, you'll put more money into your children than you will into yourself. You wear the same T-shirt for 50 years, but if they need new cleats for football, you're buying them, right? I mean, it's just the way it is. So I think it's important for kids to have that. I mean, they're lucky. I don't think they realize how lucky they are, what they are getting exposed to. I mean, we didn't have this. My first lifting was on a Nautilus machine back in the day. So with the can system, click, 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 click.
So great. And they had the number on the left and the number on the right. And like, I could never figure it out. So coach was always like, Kim, you're not hitting very good numbers. And I was like, because coach, I'm honest. I'm using the smaller on the left. Jeremy and Caleb and those dudes are using the number on the right. And told us not to use that number. He's like, sure.
Sure.
All right,
sure, buddy. That's why I yelled at you in 8th grade.
This is like a counseling session. You're handling all my problems and
helping you, give you some coping skills.
That's right.
Well, for me, like I said, your videos have definitely been some of the coping skills for me because I think I've been around a long time. I've been with meatheads. I've been with Olympic lifters and pro athletes, and I love what we do. I think it's a lot of fun. Again, if we can have impact on kids, I think that's really important. I think what you're doing, one, from the fun side is great, but also, two, I know you have your own website. I want to make sure I get it right. It's BelieveThrower.com, right?
Yep.
And you got a lot of – I checked it out today. You got tons of cool products on there, T-shirts and books. And I know you do speaking engagements. And I also, too, I know you're a man of faith as well. And I know it's a big part of what you do. How does that help you, just with what you're doing in your professional career?
Oh, man. It's been huge. I mean, on my marker board here is Nehemiah 8:8. The joy of the Lord is your strength. And so I want to share joy and I want to have joy in all that I do, whether that's I'm working. Today I drove 2 hours to a meeting and 2 hours back and just have joy driving through the Iowa countryside, those type of things. And so it is my faith has helped me immensely just as a man to be a better father, to be a better husband, to be a better employee, to be a better leader, to be a better coach in the times that I get. And that's what's encouraged me to always seek improvement.
I think it's great. Listen, I'm a man of faith as well, and I think it's interesting. There's probably not as many people out there anymore that are outward about it. Some people are afraid to talk about it, and I love the fact that you talk about it. You put it in such a positive light. You're not trying to say shove it down people's throats, right? Because some people get scared. Oh my God, they're putting a cross on my face. Like, that's not what this is about. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that. Some people don't, and to each his own, like I always say. But I want to let you know, I notice it, and I could see it definitely shapes you as a person and as a dad. And I think that's what we're here for, right? We're only here one time in our life. We're going to make an impact.
That's right.
Absolutely. So I want to make sure I get all your handles right. So we got BelieveThrower.com and at MC Kim, right? Daniel is your Instagram. Anything else? Any other places that anyone can hit you up? Get some free Debbie cakes out of it?
Pretty much, you put Mckim Daniel in, you'll find my stuff. I'm on Twitter as well, and yeah, I'm out there.
That's good. Well, I can't thank you so much for hopping on this call. I think this was great. It was definitely a lot of fun for me, and I slid into your DM and it worked. So I didn't think that stuff ever worked.
That's not a great sound bite right there.
No. Take that.
Sure
But I know I appreciate it, and again, please keep doing what you're doing, because you're great for our industry. You're exactly what we need. We need a little more levity, a little more fun from a guy who knows what he's doing. Right? So I think that's important. So, and any parting thoughts? You can make fun of the speed guy, whatever you want to do.
Is this where I tell you my favorite video to make, and I had to edit the most, was the speed guy, because I have so much content on making fun. No, man. I appreciate your time, buddy. Thanks for having me on for this, because this was a great talk, and it was a good time to just shoot the breeze, man, and talk through some stuff. And the way this industry has impacted my life has been amazing. I appreciate how the industry has taken me in and opened their arms to me, honestly, because when I came from a marketing, even a banking background. I was a strength athlete and was able to do that professionally for years, but to come in a sales position and be embraced by the strength industry has been awesome. And the friendships I developed over just these 6 years has been incredible. And I'm just so thankful for being a part of this industry, man. It's really cool.
Well, that's great. I'm sure this podcast is going to get a ton of downloads. And again, everyone follow Coach Dan online. You're going to have a great time. And I wish you all continued success. I know it's going to keep rocking for you.
Thanks, brother.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much.
Thank you.